Leanne Tiernan, 16 years old.
Hello! Welcome to my talk show in Turkey.
A daughter walking home from a Christmas shopping trip vanishes without a trace.
I knew she wouldn't run away. She couldn't keep a secret, so if he was going to do anything like that, somebody would have known.
Fears are growing for the safety of missing teenager Leanne Tiernan.
Police searches on an unprecedented scale. A devastated family, desperate for news.
It's like a nightmare that you never wake up from, really.
John Taylor, cruel, violent, sadistic, had lain in wait to snatch the girl.
He's a dangerous, cunning, calculating killer. It doesn't get much worse.
Then kept her body as a trophy.
Everything points to the fact that she was frozen in a domestic freezer for that 9 months period.
I wonder how many other potential murders he's committed. I mean, I would have thought this is just tip of the iceberg with him.
Every murder leaves a terrible legacy.
Quite a few times I thought, I'll buy a big bottle of vodka, wait for a frosty night, I'll drink half of it, and then I'll go sit at the side of in the cemetery, and then I'll drink the other half and go to sleep. And then I won't wake up again.
Every victim is someone's daughter, someone's son.
She'll have to bring Evie over when she's a bit bigger.
This is Yorkshire beauty spot, Ilkley. It's somewhere Hilary and her daughter Sharon used to bring Michelle and her sister Leanne when they were little.
Can't little one over there on swing.
Yeah, you're lovely.
Little legs are going.
Today, they're here with the newest member of the family, Evie Lee, Michelle's little girl.
We're waving. Are you doing the seesaw? Are you? Are you doing the seesaw?
Oh, it's a swing, you silly head.
Michelle was a tomboy, you see, Leanne wasn't. But Leanne was very careful.
Was she?
If she thought she might get hurt, she wouldn't do it. Quite a contented child when she came out, you know. You didn't have to be always doing something with her. She was quite happy.
In November 2000, this family's life changed forever.
Sometimes you can't believe that it's 10 years ago. Sometimes I can't believe it's happened, actually. You know, but it did, so that's it.
Leanne, 16, a bright, fun-loving girl who enjoyed spending time with her family, shopping with friends, every inch a typical teenage girl.
She was very thoughtful, actually. She knew everybody's birthdays. And she used to panic if she didn't have enough money to go buy somebody a card. Very, very loyal to her friends. Always put them first. Always.
I think out of two of us, she's probably most bubbliest and she had sort of more friends and she just finds it easy to communicate with people, so most people got on with her.
If anybody was having a party, she liked to be there. She liked to party, did Leanne. She liked dancing, she didn't even look after other people's kids that were at the party and just dance about with them all night so that parents could do what they wanted.
And personality-wise, she was absolutely fantastic. She even enjoyed like little bits of modelling and things when she was younger. She was so outgoing. You know, she'd sort of talk to people, well, anybody she'd sort of make feel welcome. She just had a way with people.
Focus on the camera. Hello! Welcome to my talk show in Turkey. Pretty shit.
Leanne Tiernan was born in September 1984, the youngest of two girls. Though her parents separated, she had a close family and was a happy and content child. In 2000, Leanne lived with her mum and sister here in the Bramley area of Leeds. It's a place former Detective Superintendent Chris Gregg came to know well.
Bramley is a community that's mainly residential, but with its a small town centre. It's one of those honest areas. It's not untypical of the large cities, areas on the outskirts, you know, we're some 4 or 5 miles from Leeds here, and that you find in the large cities where there's a lot of history, a lot of local culture, strong sense of local community.
For 16-year-old Leanne and her family, the 26th of November 2000 began like any other Sunday.
Obviously she'll got up, she'll have had some breakfast and gone down to my mum's and gone to Sunday school
Came down
thing.
to us, came to church with me, came back with me, and she had a drink and a biscuit as usual. When she left, she turned and waved like she always does at the end of the Ginnell, and we went up Ginnell.
I'd actually been to work that day, and I don't think... yeah, 'cause she'd got some new boots. I think last thing I said to her, I'm not right keen on them boots. Yeah, she went off out shopping after that. And
she'd chosen this present for a friend and she was determined she was going to get that. So she had to go that instant and go get it. And she gave me a kiss on the cheek, left lipstick all over my face and laughed and went off.
What Leanne's family could never have known is that this would be the last time they would ever see her. Leanne spent the afternoon shopping in Leeds town centre with friend Sarah, buying a Christmas present for her. At around 4:30 that afternoon, the two friends travelled back home to Bramley on the bus. Leanne keen to make it home in plenty of time for the family roast dinner.
This is the bus stop that Leanne and Sarah got off, and they'd have walked across and down onto the main dual carriageway, and that's where Leanne would have walked down towards Heffley Gill.
Leanne should have been home a short time later, but when Sarah called her just after 5, expecting her to be home, alarm bells started to ring for Sharon.
Sarah phoned to speak to her. She's not back yet, Sarah, so she says, well, I've been in since about 10 to 5. I thought she'd have been there now. I said, all right, I'll try and ring her. She says, well, I've been trying to ring her, she's not answering, that's why I've rung the house. So I tried ringing, and it rang and rang and rang, and then it was switched off. Didn't go on to voicemail or anything, it just stopped. And then we could never get through after that. That was it. I've just never done that before. It's been a bit late in sometimes, but never like that.
Sharon called the police at 7:04 p.m. Leanne had left Sarah and walked into a local cut-through called Heffley Gill. From here, she vanished.
As soon as Leanne was reported missing, Heffley Gill became a focal point for us. This to us was potentially the scene. We had to look at it that way. This was the place that she'd been last seen. This was our starting point. In her mind, she would have just been thinking, I've done this 1,000 times before. It's a quick cut through from the bus stop through to home, but on a night it becomes a much more sinister place.
Police search is underway for a teenage girl who failed to return home from a shopping trip in Leeds.
The family were desperate to believe there might be a simple explanation as to where Leanne was. They clung to the possibility she may be with a friend. But Leanne was always home on time, and as hours passed, panic began to build.
The first night, I got it in my head that if she wasn't in by 10 o'clock, she won't come in. And why, I have no idea. And then it's very hard to put into words how we feel. And once it got to that time when it went past, I thought, well, she doesn't normally have to be in until 10, so she'll ring me soon and say she's on her way, or...
I suppose at the time it was just the easier thing to think, oh, maybe she's just run away and for some unknown reason she just didn't want to come home. But I think back in my mind we knew that she wouldn't do that.
Michelle, who was 19 at the time, went out searching for her little sister.
At home we couldn't actually find a torch, so I had to go to the church down the road around the corner and things. I knew the caretaker were there, and luckily he had some mag lights, so he actually come out as well and searched with us. Mainly down Huffley Gill, the way that she'd have walked home, and then we went down onto the canal because that's another sort of quiet stretch.
All the alarm bells started to ring. You know, when you walk down this pathway at that time of day, at that time of year, it resembles nothing like it looks now. You know, it's a sinister place. It's pitch black. There are the sides coming down. It's a foreboding place. It's very dark, and anyone laying in wait here is perfect for them.
Leanne had vanished, and one of the biggest missing persons enquiries in West Yorkshire police history was underway. It's nearly 11 years since Hilary lost her granddaughter, Leanne. The church was a big part of their life together.
Well, she'd come with me to service on a Sunday morning, and then after about 20 minutes the children all go out to Sunday school. So when she was younger she'd have gone out to Sunday school, and in the last couple of years she'd have gone out to help with the juniors.
When Leanne first went missing, Hilary just had a feeling her granddaughter would not be coming home.
I knew she wouldn't run away. She couldn't keep a secret. So if he was going to do anything like that, somebody would have known. Their best friend, probably Sarah. But no, I had a horrible feeling to start with, but we had to hang on to hope.
And there are constant reminders of the girl missing from her life.
Well, you do move on. You've got to move on, but you never forget. It's always there, underneath everything, you know. I mean, every time I see the guides carry the flag down in church, I can see Leanne carrying the flag down in church, you know.
On the 26th of November 2000, 16-year-old Leanne Tiernan was missing from home. As police launched massive searches, her mum Sharon was distraught.
She did us down. It was just sort of like, it was happening to somebody else really. It was like being there, but not. You feel a bit detached, I think. It's like if you're a fly on the wall watching somebody else. My mum came up every day. It must have been pretty bad, because one day she said to me, we'll go and get in the shower. So I don't know whether I had a shower or brushed my teeth or what, I've no idea. I don't know.
Fears are growing for the safety of missing teenager Leanne Tiernan. It's now 3 days since the 16-year-old went missing after a Christmas shopping trip with a friend.
Former detective Chris Gregg was the senior investigating officer on the case of the missing girl.
The search was on a huge scale. We drew officers in from all over the force. We worked within the half-mile radius from where she'd been last seen, and we took it apart, literally. Well, we searched around 1,000 houses and made inquiries at 132 commercial premises. Simultaneously, we searched over 40 drainage shafts in and around Huffley Gill, so we were trying to make sure that we were doing everything within our power to find Leanne.
A week after Leanne disappeared, police had not received a single sighting of her. Huffley Gill, the local cut-through where she was last seen, had thrown up no clues. No trace of her clothes, her phone, nothing. Police set up a reconstruction of Leanne's final movements, with Michelle playing the part of her little sister.
I just wanted to help, really. If anything I could do, even if it was just to jog somebody's memory, you know, I was happy to do that. It was just nice to be able to put something back in and then obviously start people thinking again and just hope something to come of it.
The whole community in Leeds were desperate to find the missing teen. but she had vanished without a trace. Laura Richards is a criminal psychologist and recognised violence expert, and David Swindle is a former senior police detective. They have both worked on many missing persons investigations.
Missing for a week, Leanne, Tiernan was last seen getting off the bus after a shopping trip in Leeds.
3 days, no sighting.
Yes,
I mean, you know that
first 48 hours are the golden hours.
Absolutely.
In that period
and no
of time.
sightings, no mobile contact, no...
Absolutely nothing. Disappeared completely. What we had here was the biggest search operation ever in that police force, and the techniques they were using, they were determined. And there was always the glimmer of hope that it was she was still alive.
They've done a thorough job.
In reality, you know, they feared the worst.
It rocks through, you know, the absolute foundation of a community. With this sort of case, it felt so local, so localised within that area. So, yes, that very unnerving feeling that perhaps it could be someone amongst us too, and who might be next. You know, the concern for other children's safety is absolutely paramount.
As the search for Leanne widened, the local media became very involved. ITV News journalist Christine Talbot remembers the sense of desperation at the time.
It was everywhere. It was one of the biggest stories that we've had in this particular area for a long time. And it seemed such a massive thing when this young girl, and you could just disappear out of the blue after just an innocent shopping trip on a Sunday afternoon. It was almost inconceivable, and it gripped everybody.
Specially trained police divers begin the difficult task of searching the canal as the frantic hunt for Leanne continues.
Police searches were on an unprecedented scale, but as the weeks rolled into months, there was still no sign of Leanne. By this time, police were convinced she had been abducted.
It became extremely frustrating because you're turning over in your mind all the time. Where is she? What's happened to her? We searched overground, we searched the canal, we searched the river, we searched certain drains, we searched premises, we searched industrial units. What's happened to her? You know, it was as if she'd literally just vanished into thin air.
Supermarket chain and the National Missing Persons Helpline have joined forces to help in the search for a Leeds teenager who's been missing for over 10 weeks.
The trail started to go cold. They were getting to a stage where they had done extensive investigations, massive, you know, national media appeals. You look to the family and you keep thinking, surely there'll be something else, there'll be another break, something else will happen.
Certainly it sounds like as the hours go by, the days, the family are in turmoil, their lives are shattered, they're just existing, trying to make sense of what's gone on and desperately hoping, I'd imagine, that she's just going to walk through the door.
For the family, life never returned to anything like normal. They struggled through each day in a blur as the chances of finding Leanne alive faded.
That's enough. Get fat.
It seemed weird how everybody was sort of carrying on as normal, which, I'm not looking back, was obviously the right thing to do, but whereas our world had just sort of stopped. So, quite hard.
I thought, well, maybe if she has run off somewhere to try and get abroad, is she too vulnerable? Will she cope? It was that sort of thing, really, which sounds a bit nuts, really, doesn't it?
We went back to work and one of the managers actually come up to me and he was just saying, so what's your honest opinion? What do you think she's run off? And I could actually hear myself and the words that were sort of coming out of my mouth saying, no, I don't think she's the type to run away, obviously. And it was sort of then it started to sink in that, you know, maybe she wasn't going to come home.
Then, on the 20th of August 2001, 9 months after Leanne disappeared, Chris Gregg got a phone call from colleagues in North Yorkshire Police. A young woman's body had been found in a shallow grave by a dog walker at beauty spot Lindley Woods.
I just sensed it was Leanne, it was going to be Leanne. As soon as I saw the body, I realised it was her, even though she was still fully clothed and in exactly the same clothing that she was last seen in. So instantly knew it was her.
Chris then had to tell Leanne's family the news they'd been dreading.
Because we had been warned that the body had been found. And that was it. It just sort of went back to day one again. Back to being on the wall and listening and watching and just sort of like feeling detached in some way. It was really strange.
I was actually around at my father's house. It was my stepbrother's birthday. We got a phone call from my mum saying, will you come home? The original liaison officers have been back in touch and they want to come round and talk to us. So just as we were pulling up the street, my mum come out and she sort of collapsed in my arms. Just as we were getting out of the car.
Sharon and her family's life had changed forever.
A mother of two to a mother of one. It's very hard, especially when we were so close for the last while. There was just the three of us there all the time. It's like somebody's pulled your arm off. Even now, sometimes I think, oh, she might just walk through the door. They might have got it wrong. All that forensics could be wrong. Stranger things have happened. I know it's not going to happen, really, but you never know.
Fingerprints and DNA confirmed it was Leanne's body. The hunt was on for a killer. Who had done this? Where had Leanne been for 9 months? And why hadn't the months of massive police searches found any trace of her? Leanne Tiernan was just 16 when she was brutally murdered.
She's got some weight.
Her mum Sharon, sister Michelle and grandmother Hilary come regularly to visit her grave.
You want some more water in it?
I don't know, it's quite wet.
Wet
this side's cleaner than that side.
Well, that's the way the wind comes. It
must be.
Rain.
It's not getting it all off. Oh, you aren't lucky, Leanne. We have to keep it neat and tidy because Leanne will go mad. She didn't care about the rest of the house, but her bedroom were always dusted and polished and vaxed and that, so we try to keep it as tidy as possible.
Sometimes when it's a really nice sunny day, you have to come up and sit with her for hours and stuff, especially on her birthdays and things. But...
Yeah. I used to go down this road to work on the bus and come home as well, and I used to be able to see Headstone. Yeah. It's very difficult now. There's all these other ones behind, and they're all bigger.
Yeah, what? Is you?
Is that your opinion, is it?
In August 2001, a body found at a local beauty spot was identified as being that of missing teenager Leanne Tiernan. She had been strangled, bound with cable ties, and wrapped in several layers of plastic.
The discovery of Leanne's body at a North Yorkshire beauty spot brought to an end a 9-month search.
The 16-year-old's body was found by a man walking his dog on Monday afternoon. Leanne had been strangled.
Police, led by Detective Superintendent Chris Gregg, were desperate to catch this killer.
I remember seeing Leanne's body, and it was in the mortuary, and having a feeling of complete and utter driven determination, looking at this child in this state, and just feeling, we've got to catch this monster.
As police began sifting through the forensic evidence at the scene, the pathologist studied the body and had a horrific revelation.
Looking at what the medical and pathology evidence is, everything points to the fact that she was frozen in a domestic freezer for that 9 months period.
Someone had not only abducted Leanne and murdered her, but sickeningly, she'd been kept in a freezer for months. By examining the muscle density and the pace of decomposition, scientists concluded that the body had only been at the site in Lindley Woods for a couple of weeks at most.
This afternoon, former SAS tracker Eddie McGee was brought to the scene when detectives...
Laura Richards is a criminal profiler, and David Swindle, a former detective.
They've got to find him in the quickest time possible, because whoever this is, he doesn't do his first murder, by abducting someone in a pretty accomplished way, to then taking Leanne to another point, keeping her in a freezer. I mean,
there's a
that's
sophistication here.
It's very rare. You don't see that kind of behaviour, and then disposing of her 9 months later. I mean, why keep the body for 9 months? Maybe it was because he felt it was too risky to dispose of Leanne at the point where the police were, continuously searching in a very thorough way. Or perhaps it was because the enjoyment of keeping her body there, that he still gained some form of sexual gratification from knowing she's in the freezer, and being able to see her, touch her, takes him back to what he's done.
On 28th of September 2001, a month after her body had been found, 16-year-old Leanne was laid to rest.
And quite sort of hard to keep yourself composed and sort of focused on what we had to do. Obviously we had to sort of carry the coffin in and stuff as well, which plus we all sort of wanted bright colours and things. Leanne wanted a dark person, so we didn't really want dark colours. More of a celebration in life, though, than a funeral.
It's a day when we can come and share in the shock and the terrible sadness of Leanne's death.
Hundreds attended the funeral.
I think it was nice to show how many people turned up just to show their support and respect.
A friend videoed the burial for the family. The discovery of Leanne's body was horrific, and police were desperate to catch the killer, but some worried, like ITV News journalist Christine Talbot, that they would struggle to find out what had happened to her.
I don't think we thought they had a great chance of finding anybody. I mean, as a journalist watching, you simply think, well, 9 months down the line, all they found is a body in a woods. How on earth can they link that with anybody?
Forensics could find no trace of the killer's DNA on Leanne's body. They knew the killer must have a connection to Lindley Woods. Officers collated a list of over 100 names, all potential suspects. Men who knew and frequented the woods, including poachers. Leanne's body had been found with a dog collar around the neck, which would prove to be the source of a major breakthrough. Police tracked down where that particular type of dog collar was manufactured, and an internet company in Liverpool who supplied it.
The question was asked, do you have any customers in Leeds? Yes, we do. Do you have any private customers in Leeds? Yes, we have one private customer who bought 4 Armitage leather tan dog collars 6 months before Leanne disappeared, and he lives at Cockshot Drive in Bramley, and that's what started the unfolding really of the mystery that had been before us for the last 9 months.
The name matched one on the list of suspects who knew Lindley Woods. The man worked for Parcel Force. The cable ties Leanne was bound by were used almost exclusively by Parcel Force. Finally, 6 weeks after Leanne's body had been found, police had a name. 44-year-old divorcee John Taylor. On the 16th of October, Chris and his team arrested John Taylor. A female friend gave the police details of a freezer she'd seen inside Taylor's house before Leanne's body was found. It wasn't there when they searched the property. Taylor had snatched a terrified Leanne from Huffley Gill, taken her back to his house where he had strangled her. Blood was found soaked into the floorboards, and carpet fibres were found which matched those on her clothes. He had kept her body in a freezer before dumping her at Lindley Woods. Police had found their killer.
Almost a year since 16-year-old Leanne Tiernan from Leeds went missing, police investigating her murder arrested a man today.
Detectives charged a man tonight with the murder of the Leeds teenager Leanne Tiernan.
Local people were surprised. Taylor had seemed like a bit of a loner, but nothing had struck them as suspicious about the monster who lived among them. After his arrest, John Taylor admitted abducting Leanne.
Can you tell me how often you visited Huffley Gill?
Recently, virtually never. I'd not been up there for a long time. I'd been up once earlier in the week because I'd walked round the same way when I was looking for my dogs. That was, I don't know, perhaps a week or more before.
Okay. How many times have you been to Huffley Gill since Leanne Tiernan
never
was abducted?
No, not at all.
Not at all? You haven't been back once?
I haven't been back once.
Police were certain that John Taylor had been laying in wait that night at Huffley Gill for any lone passing female.
When only Taylor knows if he had murder in mind that night, I would certainly, in terms of looking at the probabilities and possibilities, he went there absolutely to abduct. I think he had in his mind a very clear plan and fantasy of what he was going to do.
The evidence was overwhelming, and eventually John Taylor pleaded guilty to abduction and murder in July 2002. He was later given 2 life sentences. The judge described Taylor as a dangerous sexual sadist, recommending he never be let out of prison. This was his first criminal conviction. The man responsible for her death was behind bars, but for Leanne's heartbroken family, that brought little comfort.
Coffee with no sugar. One of the worst things is people mentioning his name, actually. And when I did have a problem one day where I used to work. I was writing a letter thing out for a guy called John Taylor. It wasn't him, but it was somebody else, and I just couldn't do it. I had to give it to somebody else to do. I just thought, just even the thought of it. Well, he's took Leanne's life, which that's bad enough. He's took half of my own little family. He's took part of my mum and dad's little family.
That sounds better than screaming, doesn't it?
He took Michelle's sister and left a lot of sort of friends without a friend. I thought most of it were in a room.
Sharon and Michelle still cherish the photos of happy family memories and the sympathy cards sent to them after Leanne died.
That's what they put on the plaque at the church, in their little garden.
Do you find birthdays a difficult time of year, Sharon? Yours as well as Leanne's, I guess, or...
Well, everybody's really, because I always think that she's one card less than what we should have all the time. A lot of people find that hard to believe, I think. I think they just think I'm wallowing in it, but it is something you think about. It's like, my mum was 80 a bit ago, so was my dad, and they had the 60th wedding anniversary, and there was this one card not there.
For Sharon, that first Christmas without Leanne was particularly hard.
That was peculiar. I think it was full of false jollity, really, because my mother had it in her head that she was going to turn up for a Christmas dinner. Obviously she didn't, but that was just weird. So we're all trying to just keep laughing for everybody else, I think. And then another thing was I'd ordered her some jeans and some stuff out of the catalogue. And that sort of kept appearing up until Christmas. So I didn't really know what to do with that. Just, I don't know, it's like a nightmare that you never wake up from, really.
Depraved murderer John Taylor was behind bars, but could he really have committed his first offence at age 44? In 2000, 16-year-old Leanne Tiernan was brutally murdered by John Taylor.
It must be 10 years since I've seen the family, and I've thought about them, you know, a lot over the years, wondering how the lives are all developing. Hillary, Sharon, and Michelle. I'm, you know, really interested to see how they've coped over the last few years.
Today, Chris Gregg, the police detective who caught Leanne's killer, is visiting her family.
Hello, Michelle. Hi, Hillary. Hi, Sharon.
How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
Oh, you look well.
Well, lovely to see you. How are you doing?
And you?
Yeah,
Not
doing
too bad.
fine. Hillary, how lovely to see you. How's Terry?
Well, I mean, we're both well in our 80s, so, you know, we're not doing so bad.
Good.
See our baby.
Who's this?
Evie Lee.
She's my great-granddaughter.
Hello, Evie Lee. Where does Evie Lee come from? Is that a family name?
Oh, she liked Evie and then
Like
Lee
Evie.
early on.
Yeah.
Leanne's family have been afraid that Taylor may be released early from prison. Chris is keen to put their minds at ease.
Sometimes when you hear all these others getting out.
He's not got much longer to do. Really.
Don't be alarmed about that, because it's different to if somebody's sentenced for a burglary or a robbery or something like that, where they can get time off. You know, they sometimes can only serve half the sentence, can't they?
Yeah.
They might get 10 years and only do 5. That isn't the case with a murder sentence. It's a fixed tariff, and he's being given a sentence of 30 years, which means that he will serve 30 years. So what's the last 10 years been like? Has it got any easier?
No.
No?
Not really.
No?
Just the anniversaries and things like that.
You sometimes can't believe it ever happened, can you?
Has she helped, Sharon? The arrival of little Evie?
A little bit.
Yeah?
A little bit.
You don't know how precious you are then, do you? You don't know how precious you are and what you bring to this family.
As a well-loved and popular teenager, the impact of Leanne's death was felt by her friends as well as her family. She and best childhood friend Alex went to Sunday school together every week. There is now a huge gap in Alex's life.
I probably just missed the fact that, you know, if I was sad, you could like ring her and she'd just make you laugh and you feel so much better, and I just feel like there's something missing, you know. On the day that I got married, my friend, who was one of my bridesmaids, bought me an angel pin to put in my flowers. And I put it on my flowers, and the photographer's got a beautiful shot of like the angel pin on the flowers. She was mentioned in the ceremony as well, and obviously at the end of the wedding video we've got a tribute to her as well.
Kirkstall Abbey is somewhere Alex and Leanne would come regularly as children. Alex finds it difficult to put into words how she feels about what happened to her best friend.
A disbelief really that somebody could harm her, in that way, and definite anger towards him. But yeah, disbelief that someone could want to harm her.
Even though John Taylor was not previously known to them, police were convinced Leanne's horrific murder could not have been his first offence.
We thought this can't be right. You don't just start your criminal, sexual killing spree when you're in your early 40s.
Police uncovered a history of sexual violence against ex-partners, a man who collected and killed animals, and had a fascination with firearms and poaching. All things which homicide prevention specialist Laura Richards knows to be possible risk factors for serial offenders.
And then when you take John Taylor apart in terms of who he was and what he's done, you see someone who has escalated. Probably started very young, and what we know from people who went poaching with him was that he was very cruel and sadistic to animals. So he would just rip open, and hack to death foxes and strangle and really enjoy killing rabbits. But I think you can certainly say that at 45, he doesn't just wake up that morning and decide to go out and abduct Leanne, that there's a whole pattern of behaviour that goes before.
Believing Taylor to be a prolific serial rapist at the very least, and a serial killer at the worst, police reopened several case investigations. They found 2 DNA matches to John Taylor. In February 2003, he was convicted of 2 violent rapes committed in the late 1980s. One of which was in Huffley Gill, the place Leanne had been abducted from. He was given 2 further life sentences.
John Taylor is as dangerous as they come. He's a dangerous, cunning, calculating killer. The judge described him as a sexual sadist. The psychiatrist described him as a psychopath. He's all those things rolled into one. It doesn't get much worse.
I wonder how many more cold case rapes, unsolved rapes there are that Taylor is responsible for. I wonder how many other women through Lonely Hearts magazines that he approached and met up with that he abused and raped. I wonder how many other potential murders he's committed. I mean, I would have thought this is just tip of the iceberg with him.
Leanne's big sister Michelle thinks she would have loved her role as auntie to new addition to the family, Evie Lee.
I think she'd have loved it. Yeah, I don't think she'd have got much peace. No, I think she'd have spent a lot of time with her, and I think she'd have ended up spoiling her, buying her clothes, and I think in many ways she has. There's a new focus. Maybe something positive to move on with at last. The whole house is so quiet. It's even with a baby there, it's still that empty void that's there, so.
But even with a grandchild to consider now, the gulf in Sharon's life is immeasurable.
Quite a few times I thought, I'll buy a big bottle of vodka, wait for a frosty night, I'll drink half of it, and then I'll go sit at the side of in a cemetery. And then I'll drink the other half, I'll go to sleep. And then I won't wake up again. I didn't do it, but I thought about it quite a few times.
Life changed sort of forever for all of you?
Yes, because part of the family's missing. I mean, even the new baby won't fill that. She'll make a place of her own.
John Taylor stole a life of promise from a beautiful young teenager and deprived a family of something so precious.
Even though it's 10 years, I can't actually believe it's 10 years. I know it is. It does seem like a little while ago, but not that far. Like a few months maybe, or something like that. A lot of people say, how do you cope? How do you live with it? And I said, well, you don't, and it never gets any better.
still expect her even now to sort of walk in, and you're always going to feel like there's something missing, no matter what you try and do to fill that. You just can't do it. So it's...
How do you move on from something like that? Like I say, sometimes I feel like going out and smashing something, or staying in and smashing something even, but it doesn't change anything, so there's not a lot of point in doing that. But whatever you do, whatever happens, don't bring her back. She's still not here.
Well, in a moment tonight, before our film at 10:35, Alistair Stewart and Mary Nightingale are here with a roundup of the latest ITV News at 10.
Leanne Tiernan, 16 years old.
Welcome to my talk show. It's in Turkey.
A daughter walking home from a Christmas shopping trip vanishes without a trace.
I knew she wouldn't run away. She couldn't keep a secret, so if he was going to do anything like that, somebody would have known.
Fears are growing for the safety of missing teenager Leanne Tiernan.
Police searches on an unprecedented scale. A devastated family, desperate for news.
It's like a nightmare that you never wake up from, really.
John Taylor, cruel, violent, sadistic, had lain in wait to snatch the girl.
He's a dangerous, cunning, calculating killer. It doesn't get much worse.
Then kept her body as a trophy.
Everything points to the fact that she was frozen in a domestic freezer for that 9 months period.
I wonder how many other potential murders he's committed. I mean, I would have thought this is just tip of the iceberg with him.
Every murder leaves a terrible legacy.
Quite a few times I thought, I'll buy a big bottle of vodka, wait for a frosty night, I'll drink half of it, and then I'll go sit at the side of in a cemetery, and then I'll drink the other half and go to sleep. And then I won't wake up again.
Every victim is someone's daughter, someone's son.
She'll have to bring Evie over when she's a bit bigger.
This is Yorkshire beauty spot, Ilkley. It's somewhere Hilary and her daughter Sharon used to bring Michelle and her sister Leanne when they were little.
That little one over there, sweet.
Yeah, you're lovely.
Little legs are going.
Today, they're here with the newest member of the family, Evie Lee, Michelle's little girl.
You're waving. So you're doing a seesaw? Are you? Are you doing a seesaw?
Oh, it's a swing, you silly head.
Michelle was the tomboy, you see, Leanne wasn't. But Leanne was very careful.
Was she?
If she thought she might get hurt, she wouldn't do it. Quite a contented child when she came out, you know. You didn't have to be always doing something with her. She was quite happy.
In November 2000, this family's life changed forever.
Sometimes you can't believe that it's 10 years ago. Sometimes I can't believe it's happened, actually. You know, but it did, so that's it.
Leanne was 16, a bright, fun-loving girl who enjoyed spending time with her family, shopping with friends, every inch a typical teenage girl.
She was very thoughtful, actually. She knew everybody's birthdays. And she used to panic if she didn't have enough money to go buy somebody a card. Very, very loyal to her friends. Always put them first. Always.
I think out of two of us, she's probably most bubbliest, and she had sort of more friends, and she finds it easy to communicate with people, so most people got on with her.
If anybody was having a party, she liked to be there. She liked to party, did Leanne? play, she liked dancing, she'd even look after other people's kids that were at the party and just dance about with them all night so that parents could see what they wanted.
And personality-wise, she was absolutely fantastic. She even enjoyed like little bits of modelling and things when she was younger. She was so outgoing. You know, she'd sort of talk to people, well, anybody she'd sort of make feel welcome. She just had a way with people.
Focus on the camera. Hello! Welcome to my talk show. It's in Turkey. Very shit.
Leanne Tiernan was born in September 1984, the youngest of two